Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. We're back in the East Dulwich Tavern, and today I'm joined by Michael McCubbin and Henry Hill. Woo-hoo! We're back, baby!
Yes.
And it is approaching the end of the transfer window. It closes on Monday night. So we are going to talk about the clubs that have won the window so far. But before we get into that, how rude of me, I haven't even asked my colleagues how they are. Mikey, are you well?
Yeah, I am well.
Got a fresh
I'm
Inter shirt on?
I do, yeah. I feel like I haven't worn this on Continental Club in quite a while, so I thought I'd bring it back out and in tribute to the great
Robin Gosens.
Robin Gosens, yeah.
Which will be
I was going to say
coming
Inzaghi, but his name escaped me.
Or Inzaghi, a great
All of
coach as well. Are you wearing the yellow in honour of Fenerbahce, Henry?
Fenerbahce. Villarreal. No, I'm fine. I'm well. I am exhausted by this Newcastle nonsense. I just want it to end. It's genuinely dreadful.
Try being a Sunderland fan.
It's just ridiculous. We should have like bingo cards for the final day, like every player they're linked to, and we tick them off. I don't know. It's just. I actually think this transfer window, although it's not been we haven't seen some major deals or any light up moments. There's been a few interesting little things here and there, and it's been quite fun just following it every day and seeing all these kind of little niche players from the past moving here and there. Like I saw Morales went to this Portuguese team yesterday. Kevin Morales at the age of like 34. Little things like that. I've enjoyed watching all that happen. So yeah, I think for the lower teams, this has been quite an interesting window. But in principle, hopefully deadline day should throw up some corkers, but yeah,
it's been slow going, I think, at the Champions League level clubs, but there's been some quite interesting moves in Spain and Italy, which we're going to cover in this video. But we're going to kick off with the second place team in La Liga as it stands at the moment, Sevilla, Henry, who are in a great position, and if they don't manage to sell, or if they refuse to sell Diego Carlos rather, have had a pretty good window, you got to say.
Absolutely. I think at the start of the season, Monchi said this was the best squad that he'd ever assembled in terms of really going for the title at Sevilla, and with Lopetegui at the helm as well, a brilliant manager. I think he was completely right to say that. And actually, I think all the additions they've made so far are only going to boost that. It's been a brilliant window, provided they do hold on to Diego Carlos. I actually don't see why at this point.
I think they've now said that they will only sell him for a 70 million euro release clause, which is.
Fair enough.
Stranger things have happened, but I feel like it's unlikely, isn't it? But
it is. I sort of respect them putting their foot down a little bit. I mean, it's so late in the game to try and rush around finding a replacement. And actually, him and Jules Koundé, they've been so solid at the back together for 2 years. They literally joined at roughly the same time. And it's always been those two. So I think to disrupt that partnership is just nonsensical. Certainly at this moment in time in the summer, maybe it's different. In terms of the other players that they brought in, Martial, I think that's a superb signing. He needs to go play football. We know that he actually is pretty good on his day, and under a great coach like Lopetegui, I think that if he's going to get the best out of him, I think a switch to somewhere like Sevilla, whole different climate, just different way of life. That could be really interesting. I mean, last season 4 goals, 3 assists. He obviously dropped off, but he's still only 26. He's operated at 0.61 expected goals and assists per 90 last time. That's still higher than what Lamella's on. So he really can deliver, I think. And I've been a little bit critical of Papu Gomez that they brought in. I don't think he's really had the impact that they were expecting to at the club. So there is definitely a place for Martial in that squad. In the series, he's going to be coming back from the AFCON. He's been scoring again for Morocco recently, who are doing very well. He hasn't played loads of minutes this season, but I think once they get him up and firing again, it could be pretty exciting. He played 472 minutes this time with 3 goals. And we know how well he can perform with another creator next to him in Martial. That'd be good. And then Jesus Corona as well. This is another signing that went under the radar in this window.
At the start of the window, then.
Yeah, 2.7 million. He's 29 years old. He's played under Lopetegui before over in Portugal. Apparently Lopetegui requested him specifically because he's a really solid right wing back. I think he was voted Primera Liga Player of the Year in 1920. Knows exactly what he's doing. He's played at least 40 games pretty much every year that he's been over in Porto as well. I think maybe people were expecting him to have made a move a bit earlier than this perhaps, but very consummate professional as well. So I'm excited to see what he'll do there because they've got Jesus Navas going down that right wing flank as well. He's not getting any younger, is he?
It's weird actually. He was started in the forward line on the weekend, Jesus Corona. which makes me think I don't know where like Martial's necessarily going to fit in. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see because they've got a lot of. They do actually have quite a lot of forward players now, and maybe Jesus Corona will get moved back into right back, but equally, right back there's quite a lot of competition as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do long term.
2 tackles and interceptions, combined with 2.7 key passes, 1.1 shot. It sounds like he's got it all. Really, 2.2 dribbles, really up and down that flank. I mean, based on the signings, it looks as if Sevilla are really going to go for it in terms of just trying to outmuscle all of their opposition. I mean, their defence hasn't been letting them down at all this season, has it? They've had the best defence in La Liga. I think even more superior than
second best in Europe.
Second best in Europe. So yeah, let's see. I think this is a really interesting window for Sevilla. Maybe even more additions if Lo Celso arrives from Tottenham. Although that once again is just like another player I don't think they really need. It's just another kind of weird attacking midfielder. I'm not sure where he would quite fit in, Lo Celso, although he has been very successful with Betis and stuff like that.
That would go down pretty badly in Seville if he did make that move. I think that'd be really interesting. But yeah, I agree with you. I think a really interesting window by Sevilla. I agree with you in Papo Gomez, although he did score an excellent goal that I saw at the weekend, curling in off his left. So hopefully he can get back to his Atalanta best, but he is also, 33? Maybe even a little older, so maybe we've just slightly seen the best of him now. But yeah, I think some of their loan moves out are quite effective as well. They've loaned out Usama Idrissi, who came in with a big reputation from Holland, Oscar Rodriguez, who hasn't really had much of a look in since transferring from, I think it was Real Madrid, wasn't it? So yeah, clever moves from Lopetegui. Hopefully they can keep this title challenge going, because as we're seeing around Europe right now, there just aren't that many great title challenges, or title races, I should say. Right now. So we shall see what happens with Sevilla towards the end of the year. McCubs, let's move on to @Dathstroke33 suggestion of Barcelona. Still so much talk about what's going to happen with them towards the end of the window. The latest is Adama Traore. By the time this goes out tomorrow, who knows where we're at with that.
He could be in a Barca shirt.
What do you think of that? What's your immediate reaction to that and their window as a whole?
Adama Traore is a weird one. It is a weird one. I don't quite see where he fits in Xavi's system. I really don't, unless he wants to play him as an incredibly attacking right back. I mean, you could play like he could fit in a front three for sure, but I just don't know whether he's got the. There's a reason why he didn't stay at Barcelona originally. Like, I don't think he was ever really at the level of that club, and I know that level has now reduced. But I don't know. It'll be interesting for sure. I think. Maybe some of the thinking behind the move is what I saw. There's been kind of some speculation about the fact that Trincão's on loan at Wolves. Obviously, Jorge Mendes, potentially pulling strings there. I'm not sure, but in terms of maybe if Wolves wanted to sign Trincão permanently, that's for around 30 million euros, and then if Traore was to go to Barcelona, that's quite a good. That deal would potentially suit both parties. Although equally, I'm not sure what Wolves' thinking is with Trincão. I mean, he hasn't exactly been ripping up trees, has he?
It's a really good start, and then it's been quite quiet recently.
Yeah, I feel like he's just not been. I kind of thought he was going to be, a regular starter from the word go, really, and he's not. He hasn't been, has he? So yeah, that is a bit of a weird one, and could be, I don't know, a slightly give the transfer window a slightly puzzling end. But equally, Ferran Torres, who's obviously been there for a few weeks now, we knew about that deal before the transfer window even opened. I think it's still, the biggest transfer of the window, isn't it? And one that I think we've all kind of welcomed quite a lot. He's had a really good start. Got an assist for Frankie De Jong on the weekend. Got a goal against Athletic Club in the Copa del Rey as well. So yeah, I mean he's a brilliant signing, and it's just I think from a Barca perspective, a shame that they couldn't have got him at a more cut price when he did go to Man City, because I feel like if they really had pushed for him in that initial window or in the summer of 2020 when they just didn't have the money, that I think he probably would have chosen them over City. It seems very clear that this is a player who I think probably sees his long-term future in La Liga. Clearly, wasn't really liking the Premier League. So I think his versatility. Obviously, he's a keen presser as well. The fact that he can, perform a kind of centre-forward role, but also be a creator as well is going to be really, really beneficial for that Barca forward line as we go forward, because it's still a forward line that is kind of being, swapped around all the time. Memphis Depay's future is, up in the air, isn't it? And I feel like Xavi is putting another kind of a different 17, 18-year-old in there kind of each week at this rate, which is fine, but it does show that they do lack a kind of consistent threat there, especially with Ansu Fati out injured, which I think could prove a big problem for the club in general in the long term if he continues to, not be able to stay fit. So. Yeah, Ferran Torres is a really important signing. Also, getting Coutinho off the wage bill, really, really important as well. Villa agreed to pay about half his wages, then he's given up the other half. So, yeah, they've saved themselves £380,000 per week. At least that's his reported wages. So, in that sense, yeah, massive move, being able to get someone like that. Also, the fact that the Ousmane Dembele saga looks to be kind of over is probably a positive thing. I think they needed that to be concluded. I know Xavi was keen to keep him on and hasn't really waded in himself. It's very much been kind of between Matteo Alemany, hasn't it, and Dembele's agent. But I think that's probably a positive in the long run, the fact that he'll either be gone now or in the summer. And then also they managed to not pay 10 million euros on Yusuf Demir. So all of these things.
For him. Gutted for Demir, though. I mean,
it's a bit of a.
He came out and said he was really sad about it. But I mean, as an 18-year-old, what an amazing 6-month experience to go from Rapid Vienna to Barcelona, and just even it wasn't like he's been on the best school exchange ever. You know what I mean?
And it's not, it was quite good. He wasn't, clearly wasn't good enough for them to like take that gamble on him. But equally, I thought he performed pretty well in certain games. So I guess just a shame for him that he happened to be having this exchange while Barcelona were kind of trying to do whatever they could to sort out the books for Ferran Torres. So in that sense, they've been able to add to the squad, which is something no one really thought they were going to be able to do in January. So in that sense, Laporta, his kind of brazenness has kind of paid off, and he's been validated. And on the other hand, it looks like they're managing to sort out their finances a little bit, or at least getting by. Whether that's kind of by using loopholes or exactly. And I don't know. Generally speaking, like it looks like they're finding some sort of ways to get around this. You never know what's going to happen with Barca, of course, but it looks like they've in December they voted to go forward with plans for the new stadium. They're going to be getting another 1.5 billion euro loan for that from Goldman Sachs. Brilliant. So but I mean, it's if that all goes to plan, I think it's something that they will be able to pay off, because it's like a lot. I think it would be like a 35-year period of paying it back or something. So, provided they can actually fill the seats of the stadium, then that should be fine. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. But basically, Barca have had a pretty positive window, and one that I think we wouldn't have expected of them. Yeah,
I mean, if they're worried about that stadium being full, I think Adama Traore arriving is just what they need, to be honest. Messi, Suarez, Neymar, Griezmann, they've seen them all, and then they get to watch Adama Traore in the flesh. I think, they'll come flooding back. No, I shouldn't be so sarky. I don't really like the Adama Traore deal, even if it's a 6-month loan deal. I don't think he's good enough for where Barcelona want to get to under Xavi, even in the next 6 months.
Equally, though, if they do just need another attacker, which I don't know if they necessarily do, if they do just need another attacker, and if Adama Traore can provide like even a bit of a difference that means that they do get top 4, then suddenly that becomes a very valuable asset, doesn't it? Or at least that becomes a very kind of smart deal in some ways.
I think because we don't really know what's going to happen with Ousmane Dembele. Ansu Fati is now out for the season. They probably needed another winger to get in. It's a short-term loan deal for someone who is got a unique skill set, just very bad output. There's no other way to dress it up. He just has really bad output. But maybe he'll make a difference in 1 or 2 games. And as McCubb says, if that gets them top 4, it'll probably be worth it. But guys, let us know what you think about this Adama Traore deal. By the time this video goes live, maybe he'd have joined Spurs. We just don't know. It's a changeable situation every day. Let's move on to Juve, because the biggest transfer in terms of monetary value is probably going to be Dusan Vlahovic's 75 million euros plus add-ons. But as McCubbs was right to say, Ferran Torres is the biggest one. as it stands, unless we're forgetting someone. But no, I think it is very
I did actually forget about Vlahovic.
Well, it's not completed as we film this, but yeah, it should be done. Apparently, they were going to offer him €7 million per year. He's going to follow Baggio, Chiesa, Bernardeschi, from swapping Florence to Turin, which they really don't like.
Burning effigies
exactly.
in Florence right now, imagine.
Fair play to Juve. If they get this one done, they've signed one of the best strikers in Serie A over the last year at least, and one of the best midfielders in Serie A in Locatelli, from two clubs that are not actually that far behind Juve in the current standings as well, in Sassuolo and Fiorentina. So they've weakened a rival like that. Do I think he's going to make a massive difference to this Juve team? Potentially, but it's not an easy situation to walk into. Their chance creation's really low at Juve at the moment. They've got two very old fullbacks that aren't delivering a lot. Their midfield doesn't really work that effectively right now. Chiesa's out injured. So you're really sort of banking on the relationship between Dybala and Vlahovic to really, fire them into the top four and potentially the title mix next year, which could happen, but we just don't know. And he's not a super creative forward as well. I think he only averages one key pass per 90 this year. So it's not like he's suddenly going to be, bringing the rest of the attack in. I don't think he's going to bring a lot more creativity than, say, a Morata, for example. I think Morata's expected assist this year about 0.4. I think Vlahovic is about 0.2. So I'm intrigued to see how the Vlahovic deal goes. I think there's a lot of pressure on this move. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, if he continues his form from Fiorentina, they've signed an absolute gem. But this is going to be an enormous step up, huge pressure. So let's see how he does. So yeah, that's Vlahovic. Other talk in Serie A, Atalanta have had a bit of a weird window, Henry. Robin Gosens joining Inter Milan, but they brought in Jeremy Boga. I mean, what have you thought of their window?
I was reading that Sassuolo, there's a few teams that basically, there's this liquidity ranking system where basically they'd run out of short-term cash. If they were able to buy anyone, they had to sell someone. So Jeremy Boga's been the one that they've decided to move on, which actually, when you consider the success of Berardi, Scamacca, and Raspadori, exactly, I think maybe Boga's time is up, and his output's not been...
It's really dropped off a lot.
It has been. I mean, he was excellent in 2019-20, 11 goals, assisted 2 in the league, but then 4 goals, 4 assists in 39 league games since. He's very quick. He's very good. He's a very good dribbler. He's an aggressive player in that regard. So I do think that under Gianpiero Gasperini, it could be quite an exciting pairing there. So I think this actually is a move that works for both parties. Atalanta are a very, very well-run club. I was reading they're one of the only 4 Serie A teams that between 2010 and 2020 actually turned a profit in that time, along with Napoli, Crotone, and one other, I believe. So yeah, they'll know what they're doing with this one. But yeah, Robin Gosens leaving is a shame. But yeah, we haven't seen him play this season. Yeah. I think it must be remembered that he's been out, and they've managed to basically cope without him in that time. He's now going to go to Inter Milan, where it looks like Perisic isn't going to extend his contract at the end of the season. So that's when it expires.
Oh, really? I saw someone said yesterday, I don't know whether it's true or not, I saw it on Twitter, they were looking to extend Perisic and keep DiMarco as well, but who knows?
Potentially, but I mean, that seems like
a very stacked
the Inter of old, yeah, an unnecessarily stacked side, unless Perisic has moved into a bit more an advanced role, which we've seen him do over time. But then again, Gosens' attacking output is unreal, isn't it? I mean, 17 league goal contributions in 2021 is nuts for someone who's meant to be in theory a defensive player. But yeah, good on Jeremy Boga for going there. I'm excited to see how this one's going to play out.
Yeah, crazy dribble numbers, Jeremy Boga. And yeah, as you said, very good at Sassuolo a few years ago, but slightly lost his way slightly. Gosens, can't wait for when Gosens is on the pitch against Theo Hernandez in the next Milan derby when Gosens is fit. That is just going to be an awesome thing to watch. Obviously, they won't be directly up against each other, but 2 of the most attacking left-backs in Europe, really. Absolute thriller to watch with the ball. McCubs, Roma, at the session of VIP_786, Sergio Oliveira, we briefly talked about him on ERU, but he's started with a bang.
Yeah, he's been brilliant, hasn't he? I think was excellent on the weekend against, was it Empoli, wasn't it? Scored a great goal, was just generally kind of at the centre of everything. They did well. Seems to have slotted into that Roma side really nicely, and a Roma side that seemed to have kind of, at least seemingly, are getting over that kind of mid-season, November, December kind of slump. Equally with Mourinho, you never know what's going to happen next. But they do look like they could be top 4 contenders, which I think at the start of the season anyone would have taken, right? And considering Pellegrini's kind of injury woes and whatnot. I think they do need another goal threat in midfield. He got 18 goals and 5 assists in 40 appearances last term for Porto. A loan deal with an option to buy is really good stuff, I think. 2 goals and an assist in 2 games so far for him. So he looks, like a really well-suited signing for the Giallorossi. Ainsley Maitland-Niles obviously has come in as well. I think we were all pretty positive about that when that first went through. Played left wing back on the weekend, which isn't necessarily where I thought he was going to play. I thought he would probably be more flitting between right back and midfield, but played pretty well there as well. So quite a positive start for them. And then, I mean, on the kind of conversation of Vlahovic, Fiorentina have actually done quite a good job, I think. I mean, we were talking about Piontek a few weeks ago, weren't we, Henry? And we weren't really sure about that signing, and that could go one or two ways. I kind of thought, give him the benefit of the doubt, he won't have as big output as Vlahovic over the next few months. But equally, if he can even provide a little bit of output, it will make up something. But equally, Fiorentina are more than just Vlahovic, and they already had a Kone through the door who, maybe hasn't had the output so far in his career that we would have expected when he was like 19, 20, and he was coming through around, in that team with like Nicola Pepe and Rafa Leao, and looked really, really exciting. He's not been that super productive forward that perhaps we would have expected, but equally, could do it at Fiorentina. I've not actually watched him play yet, but I think he's a really solid signing, and they didn't have to pay too much for him either. But Arthur Cabral, I think, is a really exciting signing.
A lot of people rave about him on Twitter.
I didn't know that much about him before, but 23-year-old Brazilian striker who's been pretty consistent for Basel over the last 3 years, and I don't know, he just looks like he looks, obviously it's a step up, isn't it, the Serie A from the Swiss league, but he looks physically very well developed already. Really skillful, but also has a bit of a kind of penchant for the spectacular kind of long-range shots and overhead kicks and whatnot. So he could be a bit of penchant for spectacular. Love it. So I think he could be. I think he could be quite an exciting player to watch in Serie A. And Fiorentina do have a good record of signing exciting forwards. And so I think he could slot really, really nicely into that team.
I wrote about him for 10 stars outside Europe's top 5 leagues last season when he was banging them in, and he's done it again this term. I think for 16 million euros, really smart piece of business. And a lot of teams would have known that Fiorentina had money after that deal, and they could have been ripe for sort of a mugging, as it were. But to pick up Cabral in this manner, I think that's great work from Rocco Commisso, and I think, as you were saying, he can kind of do it all. He's a fairly pragmatic forward. I watched all of his highlights, and I think got a lot to look forward to. And well done to them in that regard. Because let's not forget, Vlahovic has been running at a ridiculously hot rate. But Cabral has been doing it for a bit more consistently, albeit in a worse league. So let's see if he can step up.
Yeah, and they've still got Nico Gonzalez, who they signed from Stuttgart as well. They've got that bald guy that works really well with Vlahovic, whose name escapes me. But anyway, he's pretty useful as well, coming off the bench. Always a big fan of a baldy doing well. Some other teams, just quickly to mention before we wrap up, Henry. Marseille have done some good free transfers.
Yeah, love it. I mean, Kolasinac on a free. Say what you want. I mean, listen, I always thought Kolasinac was all right. So I thought he was fine, and I think
under San Pauli, he could be like suddenly go supernova, couldn't he?
I agree with you. Bakambu, I'm really excited to see 48 goals in 105 games for Villarreal, scored a fair few in China as well. Getafe, I think it's so good, their window. Borja Mayoral.
How have they got Borja Mayoral?
I don't know. Oscar Rodriguez, Anya Kojlu, he seems to be a great central defensive midfielder who no one really wants to touch. And then, Venezia picking up Nani.
Oh, love it.
I think did he get an assist on the weekend?
2 minutes into his debut, got an assist. I was writing about him yesterday. His dribbling numbers for Orlando were nuts. He scored a ton of goals. And actually, on the subject of Orlando, which was interesting, I was writing about, they have picked up Facundo Torres from Peñarol in Uruguay.
Look at this guy.
Who has scored. They broke their transfer record to sign him for 7 million euros. I think that's in euros actually, $9 million. He has scored loads for the Uruguayan youth teams growing up through the ranks. He scored a fair few for Peñarol as well. And the MLS is becoming a league which is quite exciting. It's becoming somewhere which you can feed into the European leagues from quite comfortably, and they're picking up lots of young South American talent. That's one to watch. Facundo Torres to Orlando.
Is it him? Is it going to be him and Nunez for
him and Nunez? That's it. That's the future of Uruguayan forward line.
Suarez and Cavani.
So yeah,
love it.
There we go.
Love the shouts for that, guys. We actually haven't decided who do we think has won the window. Who you pumping for?
Who do we speak
Talk
about?
Sevilla, Barca, Juve, Fiorentina.
I think in terms of the potential of what it could do for their season, I do think Sevilla, just because they've got a really, really good opportunity. It's a shame they didn't go 2 points within Real Madrid on the weekend. I think that game did, expose some of their weaknesses, namely the fact that I think they're not necessarily. You still don't back them to win convincingly week in, week out. I think they've drawn like 3 of their last 5 games. So I think supercharging that attack a bit more could make all the difference and could mean that we see them, actually take Madrid to the wire. So in that sense, I think Sevilla have won it. Yeah.
Okay, Henry, who do you reckon? You can say the same.
Yeah, I actually think Getafe, like what that's going to do to that team at the moment. They're playing really well under Quique Sanchez Flores. He's turned that club around since he came in.
Bloody good looking.
November, bloody good looking guy. And yeah, they've got some talent, which that whole core midfield and attack is going to be elevated once more. So I think in terms of being smart in the market, absolutely agree. But yeah, also I think Roma have made some smart additions.
Yeah.
But I agree.
I'm actually going to go with Inter. I think, if you look at that starting 11, the weakest point of their team was left wing back. And I know he hasn't been fit since, when did we say, September or so? Was it November? Anyway, Robin Gosens, fully fit, is an absolute animal. We saw in the Euros for Germany. He was phenomenal. I love Gosens. So if you get him to anywhere near his Atalanta or Germany form from last year, I think that's an amazing addition. DiMarco's been great this year, so is Perisic as well, particularly DiMarco's dead ball situations. He's a phenomenal free kick taker, but Gosens is a massive step up. So, and they haven't lost anyone as well. I think they're loaning out Sensi, who's going out, he hasn't been able to get fit, etc. So yeah, Beppe Marotta's done it again.
I think they're trying to get in Felipe Saicedo as a backup striker.
I saw that as well. Quite useful at Lazio over the last, is he still at Lazio now? He was good last year for Lazio anyway. Guys, who do you think has won the window? Get your answers in the comments down below. And let's move on to our big match predictions quickly and quickfire questions. So for big match predictions this week, we're actually not doing big match predictions, unfortunately, because there's no top 5 league football. There are a few, I think there's French League Cup or French Coupe de France. I'm not quite sure, but we'll be back next week with the predictions. But scores on the doors from last week, so you know where we are as we go into next week. AC Milan versus Juve. Really disappointing game.
Yeah.
Some people on Twitter were saying it was the worst game they'd ever seen.
I think you called it.
I said it was going to be a really boring match.
Yeah. You said 1-1 though, so you only get 1 point. I went 1-0 Milan, I was wrong. The Cubs went 2-1 Juve, wrong. So Henry gets 1 point for that. Atletico Madrid Valencia, absolute thriller, 3-2, coming back from 2-0 down. Phenomenal stuff from Atleti in the last 10 minutes. I went 2-1 to Atleti, so I get 1 point. You guys both went 1-1, so I get 1 point for that. Henry's on 1 point. Leipzig versus Wolfsburg, we all got this right, but we didn't get the correct score. It ended up being 2-0. Henry went 3-0, the Cubs went 4-0. I went 3-1. So the scores going into week, don't know how long we've been in this week, 8 or 9. Henry and Doogie are both on 22, and the Cubs, half of that on 11.
I'm going to come back at some point.
There's some big 3 points missed that last weekend.
There were actually, but
it seems so obvious when the result happens. It's hard out here. A few perfect scores, man.
I'm right back in it. I'm also doing terribly in the Premier League prediction league. That I think you're also part of, Henry, but you don't participate, do you? So you're just like at the bottom, but I'm not too far off because my predictions have just gone.
It's easy to look like a fool with predictions, especially predicting football. That's why it's so difficult to bet on, because obviously it's so low scoring. So anyway, I don't need to explain why it's difficult to bet on football or why it's low scoring. Anyway, let's move on to our quickfire questions. I wanted to ask you about 2 moves that were quite interesting this week. Amad Diallo has joined Rangers on loan. I mean, Cubs, you haven't really seen enough of him, or probably that much of him in a United shirt. Are you pleased that he's going to a good league and a good team?
Yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased for him. I think Rangers is quite a good club to go to be honest. It's not probably what he would have envisaged when he first came to United, going to the Scottish League, which obviously is a big step down in the Premier League. But equally, you're going straight into a very tight title race. You're joining a team that has been kind of improving season on season. Obviously, they've not hit the heights this year as they did last year, but the core of that team is still there. There's a really good team spirit at that club.
Did you see Defoe talk about the team spirit?
Yeah,
he was almost crying.
Yeah, brought tears to.
Wait till you get back to Sunderland, big man. It's even better.
just loved being Uncle Jermaine, didn't
Uncle
he?
Jermaine, yeah.
That's what I called him. But yeah, so it seems like it's a club in a good place at the moment, isn't it? And I think I think a 19-year-old tricky right winger could do quite well there. I think ultimately he just needs a lot of game time. So I'm quite excited to see how he does.
I like it. Well done, Van Bronckhorst, for getting that one through the door. One that isn't through the door as we film this at 4:07 on a Thursday is Bruno Guimaraes to Newcastle. By the time this goes live, it might completely collapse. But Henry, if Newcastle managed to sign him, that's a great bit of business.
I've got a theory that they're just looking at who else anyone else is trying to buy, and then going.
And Thomas Miller,
they haven't got any scouting department of their own. They're just literally listening to the rumours as much as we are on this.
Well, they didn't manage to get in a director of football, and their head of recruitment's on a consultancy basis for the month, I think.
It says they've opened talks with like 15 different players. It's like, who is? Are they all taking turns? Are all the is John Joe?
That's the British media as well.
No, listen. If they get Guimaraes through the door, that is a brilliant signing. Don't get me wrong. I still struggle to understand the enthusiasm for some of these players, because they're really going for like stage 2, stage 3 signings right now. I thought they should have been way smarter and gone to maybe just like top-end championship players, stuff like that. I thought they should.
Players not involved at top 6 clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Matt Phillips and etc.
Yeah, even I don't laugh at me. You want even like someone like Kiefer Moore, just someone who might go in and score 5-6 goals. Just I'm surprised they
don't need him, man. They've got Chris Wood.
They would, and the fact that Burnley might be
getting
Val
Weghorst, they could have gone for. That's Newcastle getting mugged off there. Having not thought about him.
If Burnley signed Val Weghorst, having sold Chris Woods, that would be the funniest sequence of events. But Guimaraes, excellent player. I'm not surprised Lyon are being funny about agreeing to that move there, but his defensive numbers are superb. And I don't know why Lyon actually. I don't know if it's worth them really selling him, considering their state in the league, the fact that they really do need to get Champions League football to just kind of balance the books. It's frustrating. Look, if he comes to the Premier League, fair enough, but I just really think that Newcastle have wasted a lot of time chasing around for players that really they shouldn't have been trying to touch. And if they had people that really knew about football, they'd have made some much smarter additions at the moment. So it's just a bit exhausting, really. And like you said, Thomas Müller, what?
As if he's going to change clubs. To the first
it really is classic, like first window of takeover, though, isn't it? And it just so happens that Newcastle are in such a bad position that very few people actually want to join them. I feel like we've seen it with like every Premier League club that's had a big takeover like this. They always go like balls to the walls for like anyone and everyone. But it just so happens that they're also rubbish.
I know.
Whereas like Man City were like in a fairly stable situation. Like even Everton, when they had over the years, they've always been able to kind of offer the ambition of European football, and everyone's kind of bought it. It's like you can't sell that to Newcastle, more potential Newcastle signings at the moment, can you?
No. I know it's not really our remit, but who do you think out of the 4 at the bottom, who's staying up? Because if you had to say one
Sunday
team,
vibes, I like it.
Well, now Roy Hodgson. 2 weeks after I called him one of the top 5 greatest managers of all time.
When did you say that?
We're making our list.
I'd be surprised if Newcastle didn't, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't see Burnley staying up. I can't see Watford. Norwich are on quite a good run. I think Dean Smith's a good boss, but I think Newcastle will stay up. Even though I'd love to meet them in the Championship next year.
Imagine that window next summer if they
can't
stay
get
up.
cocky. We have got a long way to go. That's Sunderland.
Super Josh Sargent. That's what I'm going to say. I think should keep Norwich up.
Player reborn since the birth of his baby.
Yeah, they were chanting USA the other night, which I quite enjoyed. I don't know. Yeah, it does. I actually like thinking with my head. I do still think Newcastle, because I think they will get at least one more person in before the window shuts, and it's just I think they've still got the better squad out of all those teams. I think. I'd like Norwich to stay up because my housemate's a Norwich fan, and I'd like to see him.
Oh.
I'd like to see him happy because he hasn't been all season, for obvious reasons. And also Dean Smith. Like in that sense, I'd like Dean Smith to do well, because I think it was a shame how it ended at Villa for him. And he's a great manager, and it would be one of the great escapes, wasn't it? And that's the thing, actually, we haven't had an actual great escape in the Premier League for years. Since Leicester, yeah.
We used to
that
do
was
it every year.
That was 2014. Sorry.
We used to do it every year.
To every year. Wigan did it a load. I remember Portsmouth under Harry Redknapp 2006.
Yeah.
Like it just hasn't
West
happened
Brom
in so long.
Brian Robson.
Oh, that was a big one.
That was a long time ago now.
So we need a great escape, and I think Norwich are the team that would be that, aren't they? So yeah.
It's just the Great Escape music there. That really got me in the
What
mood
an ending
for
to this
Great
episode.
Escape. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you guys thought of who has won the window and our thoughts on who has won the window from around Europe and who do you think is going to go down in the Premier League. Why don't you get your answer to that in the comments down below as well. Henry, if they've enjoyed this, what should they go and watch now?
First of all, happy birthday to Jose Mourinho. I just wanted to say that on camera.
Your boy. Zach is doing a very indecent sign.
He's doing a great job. Thanks to everyone that submitted band names for us three.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. The most liked thing I've ever created.
Yeah. Well, expected foals. That's definitely
expected
the one
foals.
for
Is
I liked McCubbin and the gentrifiers.
Yeah. I like how I'm not included as a gentrifier.
Well, we'll move on from that. And also, check
also
out
less good ones. Mumford and Bums came up as well.
Yeah, whoever submitted that has a very small imagination, and it's Chris Hamill. I honestly, if you enjoyed listening to us talk about Barcelona, then do check out our Explained on Barcelona's finances. By McCubbin, it was brilliant.
Nice. Thank you, Henry.
Something you'd like to push to?
Trying to think. Go and watch last week's Continental Club. We were talking about other kind of transfer rumours and whatnot, weren't we? Go and check out the FD Explained from the weekend, which was great, but I can't remember what it was. I always forget what our content is.
Nice. This will be our last Continental Club based around January transfers, guys, as well. I know we've done 3 back-to-back as well, so we'll try and mix it up next week. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.